how do I go about this? Well, on the subject of moral laws being created by Jesus, because, well, she never actually out loud said Jesus. Her name says it all. Christina loves Jesus. I mean, doesn't that kind of tell you immediately where she's going with this shit? But if that's not enough, during the entire video she decides, every time we mention moral lawgivers, hold up a cross. Seems reasonable. Because, I mean, I've been raised all my life, and, I mean, Christianity must be the one true religion, right? I mean, it's not like there have ever been, I don't know, 25,000 other religions. You see, what she does in this video is not actually try to convince you that there's a moral lawgiver. What she tries to convince you of is that there's a God. She's doing it in a devious way, I'll grant her. It's very Machiavellian the way she's going about it. Except it's a fail, because it's obvious that she's trying to manipulate you into believing what she wants you to believe, unless you're so absolutely obliviously retarded that you go, these are all reasonable arguments. So, instead of just insulting her, I should probably actually give reasons why her arguments were fallacious. Let's start with the first problem, which was her argument for why there's a God. And that is, well, moral laws exist, and laws have givers, therefore there's a moral lawgiver, and his name is Jesus Christ, and he done saved me. Granted, she didn't ever actually say, Jesus Christ done saved me, but she comes pretty damn close to it, in that she continually holds up a cross every time she says the words, there must be a moral lawgiver, right? She says it in a really creepy way, but that's not the point. That's neither here nor there. Excuse me. I just had to clear my throat. Now, by her reasoning, one could say, and this is a very neat comment actually, I can't take full credit for this argument. Well, the wording anyway. I probably would have come up with something much more offensive and asinine. But the argument in the comment, which is much more polite than what I'd say, is, by the same reasoning as hers, one could say, and I'll grant you, the argument that I'm about to use is completely ridiculous, but it's paralleled only by the ridiculousness of her argument. The only difference between the two is that in order to understand that hers is ridiculous, you have to have a modicum of intelligence. Okay? So, what was basically proposed in the comments was, bananas are orange, right? And the sky is orange one day. Therefore, that day the sky is made of bananas. I mean, by her logic, that is an immaculate fucking argument. There's no way around it. By her argument, that is totally reasonable to say, hey, if bananas were orange and the sky were orange, the sky would be made of bananas. I mean, let's not start with the fact that, A, you could be having that the whole other way around. Okay? That maybe it's the sky that's orange and the bananas that are made of sky. Who knows? It's ridiculous, really. It's like the argument, bananas fit the hand perfectly, therefore God must have created the bananas and the hand. Well, guess what? The penis fits the hand perfectly. Crazy thought. You call that a sin to put your penis in your hand and use it in any way other than to urinate. How odd. But that's basically just her ridiculous argument and its logical issues, let's say. Let's go on to the second issue at hand. She can't actually prove that her God is moral. But you know what I can prove? That he's an amoral, scum-sucking piece of shit, and besides that, I don't even believe in him, but, I mean... I get all the proof I need from their book. It's quite helpful to have on hand, really, especially when I constantly get Mormons at my door. And Jehovah's. But between the two, Jehovah's are more. Just remember that, Jehovah's. Next time you come to someone's houses, they're not going to say, oh yeah, I'd love to hear your literature. Oh yeah, I'd love to join that group. They're not saying that. It's because you're annoying, and you constantly knock on our doors at 7 at night. We're trying to eat. Go away. But that's neither here nor there, once again. But let's go on to the issue of, you can say that morals have a lawgiver, and you can say it to Jesus, but I somehow get the distinct feeling that no truly moral human being would allow the following to happen. Two arguments. Argument 1. The section in the Bible called Deuteronomy chapter 21, verses 18 through 21. Rebellious children. If someone has a stubborn and rebellious son who will not obey his father and mother, who does not heed them when they discipline him, then his father and his mother shall take him, hold of him, and bring him out to the elders of the town at the gate of that place. They shall say to the elders of his town, the son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey us. He is a glutton and a drunkard. Then all the men of the town shall stone him to death. So you shall purge the evil from your midst, and all Israel will hear and be afraid. So, where's the morality in that one, Skippy? Tell me that one. Where's the morality in stoning your child for being, quote, rebellious? Yeah, didn't think so, right? There's no morality in that. Here's the best part. I'll repeat it for you if you didn't hear it. That's Deuteronomy chapter 21, verses 18 through 21. In case you don't believe me. And before you make the argument, but that's the Old Testament, that doesn't matter. Yeah, well then I guess you're going to have to tell all your Christian buddies to stop hating on the gays, because that's in Leviticus. Besides that, I'm fairly certain somewhere in the Bible, Jesus is quoted as saying, I did not come to abolish the laws of the Old Testament, but to bring fire and sword to the heathens, or some silly shit like that. I could be completely wrong. I wouldn't quote me on that, because I could be completely wrong. Jesus might not have said that. But I also get the distinct feeling that if you're going to hate on gays and say you're a Christian, and then you're going to say, well, the Old Testament, so it doesn't matter, you're doing it wrong. Okay? You're doing it wrong. Have I wrestled your jimmies yet? Because if that doesn't wrestle your jimmies, this sure will. Considering that you're a woman, and you're probably saving yourself for marriage, by which I mean taking it up the ass only. Don't hold me to that, by the way. I wouldn't want this to be kind of slander or libel. Whereas, you e-lawyers might not want to know this, but it's actually called defamation. But that's neither here nor there, once again. But, if your jimmies aren't wrestled yet, wait till you hear this. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verses 28 through 29. I bet you don't know where I'm going with this yet. But I bet you'll hate the Bible when you see where I'm going with it. If a man meets a virgin who is not engaged and seizes her and lies with her, and they are caught in the act, the man who lay with her shall give 50 shekels of silver to her father. The young woman's father. My bad. I pronounced the wrong words. I paraphrased. I shouldn't do that. Shall give 50 shekels of silver to the young woman's father, and she shall become his wife, because he violated her, and he shall not be permitted to be divorced from her for all his days. I'm fairly certain your jimmies are rustled now, because right there, that is end of story. Biblical justification for rape. And once again, just in case you don't believe me, you can look it up yourself. It's Deuteronomy 22, chapter 22, I should say, verses 28 through 29, just in case you don't believe me. Excuse me while I take another drink. So, we're back where we started. With you being an absolute dipshit, and not knowing a fucking thing about what you're talking about. For instance, can you actually tell me what morality is and what moral laws exist without quoting a Bible? Can you come up with some moral laws for yourself? Didn't think so. Wanna know why? That's because you probably haven't had an original thought in your head since the day you were born. Here's the fact of the matter. There really are no moral absolutes. Morals are based on what is good for society, or an individual at any given moment. And just because I'm feeling like shits and giggles today, I have one third and final argument, probably not as strong as my other two. In fact, it actually might be stronger, or less strong. I'm not quite certain yet. It kind of just popped into my head. But you say there's a moral lawgiver, correct? And there are moral laws. And I believe most Christians who've actually read the Bible have a concurrent belief that, you know, everyone knows Jesus exists in their heart and he was real and all that bullshit. And that we all have Jesus' love within us, we just refuse to accept it. Which would, by basic logic, mean that we all understand basic moral laws, correct? If you just said yes to yourself, you should probably punch yourself in the dick. Or, if you're a woman, the vagina. Or tits. I really don't care. Because, and I say this because there's one little issue with that logic. They're called psychopaths and sociopaths. Or as the psychology community might know them, people afflicted by things like antisocial personality disorder and borderline personality disorder. Some more popular examples might be Charles McGee, Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer. Because here's the thing. If one wants to go about saying, we all know Jesus and his rules in our heart, as many, many Christians I have seen do, and they want to use that, by that very same token, Jesus was a moral lawgiver, well, if you put those two together, one must immediately know morals the second they're born, correct? Well then, why did Bundy? Yeah. So I'm going to leave you with this one final question. Are your jimmies rustled? Thank you. Are they? No, seriously. You mad? Your jimmies rustled?